there lived a boy in Agatu kingdom called IJOH. He was the only child of his parents. Mr. and Mrs. IJOH, his parents married for 15 years without having a child. They did all their best, but they were still barren. They met a juju man, that means a traditional herbalist, one that invokes and speaks to gods and the spirit of the dead, who possessed great mystical power. They told him to help them. The juju man is a very strong man. He did his best and performed many sacrifices. But it never worked. Mr. and Mrs. IJOH became confused. What do we do now? They loved themselves so much and they wouldn't want to divorce each other, neither to marry another person. They decided to continue, hoping that one day everything shall be all right. Many people came and made mockery of them, that they could not give birth to children. Some people even called them names. This made them to always feel sad, but they will just wait for the gods to change their story. After 15 years of waiting, and it looks like all hope was lost, suddenly Mrs. IJOH became pregnant. They couldn't bear the joy, but they kept the good news to themselves alone, seeing that many people had laughed at them already. So they just want the villagers to be shocked when the baby comes. 7 months later, the story could not longer be hidden. Everyone became aware of the fact. Many people came and celebrated with them. Meanwhile, the bad wishes were saying it won't happen in their eyes. 9 months, 5 days later, she gave birth to a baby boy. The whole kingdom was covered with the noise of the celebration of the news of the birth of the child. The parents of the child named him IJOH, meaning something good that have been preserved for so long for them, or a thing of its kind, having no match nor equal. And the boy grew up and became the talk of the town. He was extremely handsome and hardworking. Because of the boy, Mr. and Mrs. IJOH became rich and only the boy can do the work of 7 people at once. Most of the people in the village began to envy him. Meanwhile, others wished he was their son. The wicked people of the land began to do all they could do to ensure they kill the boy. But the boy continued doing fine. When IJOH became 19 years old, everyone had already known about him. There is nothing IJOH cannot do. He is a good farmer, he is also a good hunter. And he can fish very well. He is a good runner. He can swim more than anyone in the village. And when it comes to wrestling, no one has ever put his back on the floor. This made him to have many friends and at the same time many hidden enemies. One day IJOH went to river to bath, and that was when the problem started. He never knew that a bad man came at night to report him to the river goddess called Mami Wata. He told Mami Wata to kill IJOH for him, and he offered up some sacrifices to the Mami Wata and left. When IJOH came to the river, he dived into the water to bath. Then, he could not longer swim out again. IJOH did his best, but he couldn't. His friends that came together to the river with him all started looking for him. They tried their best and they could not find IJOH. How do we tell Meister and Mrs. IJOH that IJOH, their only child, their only hope has been drawn in the river? They asked themselves, they cried and searched as much as they could, but they didn't find him. They went home and told his parents. They began to cry to the father, and some men came to the river, but it was already in the evening. They could not enter the water again. Their father sat down and said the others should go, and that he will not leave there today without his son. They forced him, but he refused. He stayed there at the riverbank until morning. "Oh my boy, where are you?" he cried all through the night. But IJOH did not come out. The next day they went to call the juju man to come and help them. On getting there, they were told that the juju man had traveled and will be coming back tomorrow. Mrs. IJOH cried the more. "How will the juju man travel now that I need his help?" she cried. The youths of the village went to the river and searched again, but they did not find him. They searched the whole bush and the forest around, but they couldn't find him. The man decided to stay there at the river and watch over his son, whom he cannot even see. My son cannot sleep here all alone if he is not out. Then I will keep sleeping here till I die. Some of his good friends and some of the friends of Ido decided to stay with him at the riverbank that night. The mother of Ido came later to join them. They drove her home, but she refused. I will die together with my son, she said. The village men told her that women don't stay at the river at night, but she refused to hear their counsel. Mrs. IJOH and her husband continued crying all through that night, and early in the morning, the body of Ido floated to the top of the river. Mr. IJOH dived into the water and the men around followed after him. They took the body and they discovered that he was dead already, but the body has not begun to decay. They took the dead body to the Juju man. When they arrived, the Juju man has already returned from his journey. The Juju man did his best to bring him back to life, but he couldn't. He told them of what happened and how one of the men of the village was the one responsible for the death of Ido. The king and the villagers summoned the man. The man agreed to the fact and confessed all that he did, and that he did that out of jealousy. The king banished the man out of the kingdom and told Mr. IJOH to take possession of all that the man had. They buried the body of Ido, and all the villagers mourned for Ido for 30 days. After the mourning, they went and helped Mr. IJOH with his farm work, and also gathered all that Gambo had and gave them to Mr. IJOH. Mr. Gambo was a man who was responsible for the death of Ido. That is the end of the story. Moral lesson: don't envy your neighbors at all. Rather, work hard to get what you want. Number 2, don't kill what you did not and cannot create. You are not the owner of life, so don't take someone's life. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you liked the video. Like, share and subscribe for more. Thank you.